Special happy birthday to Rosemont Latte Japan, assistant head design at Graphic Communications Group. Also to you, Reverend Ignatius Kobna, head pastor and founder of City of Christ Church. May God keep lifting you to higher realms. From Bernard Bludo. And also to you, Gerhard Mensa, head of external affairs at Vodafone. And a good morning to you, Marianne Toure. Thanks for listening. Now, with over 30 years in the stationery business, Kingdom Books and Stationery now offers a 30-day credit facility with no interest charge. There's free delivery within Accra, Tema, and surrounding towns. Call us on 0302 764101 or 762307 or visit kingdomgh.com. Kingdom Books and Stationery Limited, your number one stop shop for all office essentials, stationery and furniture. Now, if you're a real super football fan, this is your chance to see your favorite teams go head-to-head live in their home stadia in the UK. Open a Barclays Ultimate account, maintain a balance of at least 500 Ghana cedis, and swipe to make payments with your Barclays card as often as you can to win an all-expenses-paid trip to the UK to watch your favorite teams go head-to-head live. You could also win a stadium experience in our local Superfan penthouse and take away exciting home items and your favorite team souvenirs. So don't miss out on your chance to experience football the way it was meant to be experienced live with Barclays. Visit our Facebook and Twitter for more information. Terms and conditions apply. Barclays, part of the Absa family. Don't say no, 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 no. Just say yeah, yeah. So again, we're asking this morning, are we more focused on weddings as opposed to the actual marriage, or do we spend as much time preparing for the marriage as we do the wedding? And helping me discuss this in the studio are a married man and a divorced woman. Very interesting conversation. Enimwa Enimado and Inshura Ado. Good morning, Enimwa.
Morning, Daniel.
Awesome. So, initial thoughts. What do you make of this topic? And good morning, Inshura, as well.
Good morning.
What do I make of the word?
So, what is it true? Do we focus more on the wedding than the marriage?
I mean, I think that we definitely pay attention to the wedding, but sometimes I think it's an extension of what we think is paying attention to the marriage. But yes, definitely. I find very few people, I've spoken to very few people who have been able to say that they were adequately prepared for marriage. I mean, Enishra, I think you would agree. I was married for 10 years. I don't think I was prepared. Even after doing it for 10 years, I still don't think I'm prepared for what is to come. You know what I mean? Because it's crazy.
I think there has to be a very... Let's paint this against the backdrop of what was and what has now become. Marriages back in the day were pretty simple.
Yep.
And lavish weddings, more so weddings. Lavish weddings were the preserve of those who could afford it.
Okay.
Today, people are under pressure to make an impression. And so they forget that the marriage is the journey and the wedding is just an event. The question should we be focusing on putting our efforts in making the marriage work, or put our efforts in making or creating a memorable wedding event? And that's all it is. It's an event. It's a day or a period where both families and friends and people connected to the couple come together to witness the exchange of vows, to witness their agreeing to be committed to each other, to go on the journey of marriage. So, as with how the entire globe is beginning to turn everything upside down, we find ourselves in a world where people tend to now pay more attention to making their weddings memorable. And that's part of this whole, I've been married going on 12 years, and I look back and I'm like, okay, people, this whole thing with the church the other day, Pentecost,
Yeah, the
you
Church
know,
of Pentecost.
and the whole photo thing. I have shot, and I do like doing photography, so I shot a pre-wedding, photo shoot for a friend and his
Okay.
wife.
Okay. How was it? Was it?
It was nice. No, it wasn't raunchy. I mean, it was nice. It was the theme was just basically two friends hanging out.
Okay.
You know, so the
So
kind of
there are
things that they
themes,
would.
like there are often
Well, I mean,
themes.
that's what that. I mean, well, if you have to ask me to take a photo, there has to be a theme. You know, so that was the theme.
Okay, go ahead.
But essentially, people are beginning to try and outdo the last shoot they saw.
Yeah.
So the essence of using the period before the marriage to get to know each other, to understand your temperaments, to in fact get to know and master your own self. We're not doing it. And then we jump into the marriage thinking that once you're married and you've signed on the dotted
Things will
line,
work themselves
things will
out.
work themselves out.
That was actually what I was going to ask, because anymore, isn't it the case that when you meet and you are in a relationship, you are basically preparing for marriage, whether consciously or unconsciously, so that preparing for the wedding, because you can't tell me that the entire time that you're going out with this young man is focused on planning a wedding.
No, it's not. But I think if your preoccupation is the wedding, then you do not see it doesn't become a question of is this person suitable for me. It's just really, okay, I'm gonna try and make this work so that I can get to the wedding. And so you ignore red flags, you accept behavior that is you normally would deem as unacceptable. You will take anything just to be able to get to that point where I can say, or where you can say that you are getting married. And I think that's what the problem is that when the focus is so much on the wedding and the marriage, then you don't do the necessary due diligence during the relationship. A lot of women also, we talked about this on Strong and Sassy a couple of weeks ago, a lot of women enter a relationship, and of course the point of a relationship, the end goal of especially a Christian relationship, is to get married. But when you enter and you feel like there is no option but to get married, then it becomes a dangerous space to be, because like I said, you accept anything. You will not accept if you're not suitable, if you're not compatible, and if it's not working.
But
So
is
it's really-
that a focus on having a wedding? Is that
No,
can that be
wait.
summed up to
Okay, so here's
focusing
the
on-
thing. You know how so someone once said women don't dress for men.
No, not anymore.
They don't.
Even if they did it,
They dress for other women. Right? Women, we compete differently. Women want to outdo the other woman.
Men also want to outdo the other man, but in other
But
ways.
in a different
Like
way.
you said.
Yeah. And so you find that the focus is a derivative of how the person has embodied what marriage should be. Yeah. If you ask someone what's success, a big house, plenty cars, and a lot of money. For someone else, success is using their gift to impact the world and not really think about the money. So there are people who are getting in a situation where they find someone in a committed relationship and want to take it a step further and say, I want to marry this person, right? And for them, the embodiment of our marriage is the big grand wedding that everybody talks about, okay? But if it is the fact that you want to spend the rest of your life with someone and go through thick and thin, you know, in sickness and in health, it just presupposes that the journey is never going to be just an up and up.
Yeah.
There will be some downs. And that's how you prepare. Knowing that I don't know myself fully well. I'm never going to know this person fully well. But my commitment is that no matter how things are, we're going to get better together. Right? But people go into it and say, the problem starts with the wedding. Because either the guy really wants to show off and please the girl and her family, or the girl wants to show off and show her friends that challenge me to grab some nice guy and
You get money.
it do show yeah, you know. And then you find people going to now start borrowing money because they want to do, and then you go
Yeah.
into a marriage with baggage
debt.
that you did
Yeah.
not need
Yeah.
to start the marriage with.
Okay, guys, the conversation that we are having is that are we shifting focus from marriage to wedding?
Yeah, we're
Okay.
making it an event when it's a journey.
Good. Yes, good. So Insura is introducing an interesting element into this, where he says anymore that we are summarizing marriage itself into that one day, so that I need to do whatever it takes to make this one day work, and that is why we do that. So is it a misconception issue?
It's definitely a misconception, sure. And I remember when I got married, which was a very, very long time ago, 2008. And I had a really small wedding, so 50 people. It did not cost more than £1,500 at that time.
Wait,
Yeah.
did you say pounds?
Yes, 1,000. No, but I mean, it was not a cheap wedding, but it was a low budget wedding. It was a very low budget wedding. It was 50 of closest friends and family. Now, it wasn't because I couldn't have more people or because we couldn't have more people. It was because a decision was made that we will not get married in debt. We will not go into marriage with this burden of what society is going to think of us. And so sometimes the wedding, depending, can be an indication of the mindset of the people who are going into it. So, for example, what informs a couple who decide to go and borrow 40,000 Ghana cedis to have a wedding, and every month you're going to have to look for 3,000, 4,000, 20% interest to pay off this debt? What exactly is informing that decision? Is it because you want people to think that you can afford it? So then your focus is already on the outside. And the thing about marriage is that your focus has to be very on the inside of what's going on between the two of us. What can we afford? What feels good for us? What are we living within our boundaries? And so that's why the wedding marriage, the wedding can be very indicative.
Indicative, yes.
That one.
Yeah.
Indicative of.
You missed that class in Wigan here. Say after me, indicative.
And indicative. Let's move on, please.
Try to. You're not trying for the young lady at all.
So I think, but then of course, in all of this, it's important that we're not judgmental, because there are people who can genuinely afford to have lavish weddings.
But don't forget, I made that point earlier, that, back in the day, people who threw lavish wedding events could afford it.
There's also the
But
culture.
now there's the...
There's also a culture. I mean, for Indians, for example, will have a wedding for a week.
Yes, but guess what?
Culture.
But guess what? The culture has
also
a support system that makes it affordable,
yes.
And they don't go into the marriage with debt.
With debts, yes.
When you come to our society, where and I think that, forgive me, but the whole reality nonsense and
reality shows and the Kardashian culture
and the negative effect of the internet and the things that we're being exposed to, there's a certain subtle pressure on people. I mean, you talk to lots of people, and on the Executive Lounge earlier this week, I was talking to Maulio Club about pacing yourself, and we did a cursory study of talking to random young people and say, where do you see yourself 5 years from now? Everybody had in mind they want to do their own thing. Own thing being, I want to have a business. I want to have a lot of people come work for me. So we think more is great. Sometimes less is more. My wedding was very simple. Very, very, very simple. I'll tell you what. I wore a kaftan. And my wife's dress was a beautiful kente dress. We didn't do the traditional go and buy something that you wouldn't be able to wear afterwards. And the conversation we had, and you see, it's also about how you intend to continue. You start as you intend to go. Now, if you go and meet someone, and for you, your approach was to show that I've got means, and that's why you should like me. And it's not that I like me because we complement each other. When we make materialism the focal point at the beginning of the relationship, it can only get better or worse. As in, you have to carry on financing that facade. Lifestyle, and I remember we said one thing. We said, listen, Charlie, the people, they're going to come to the wedding in about 3 hours.
They'll be gone.
They'll be gone, and we'll be left to manage our economy. So this Insurado economy, this is how we're going to do it. We're not going to go into it saddled with debt. We're going to do something that's useful. I have worn my wedding attire to an event before. It was a red and white kaftan, with gold trim, and we didn't even choose the traditional, let's do white weddings and all, we didn't. So everything we did was very utilitarian in mind. We made sure that there was a certain, you can utilize it after the wedding. We didn't have chairs for the reception. It was a cocktail.
Yeah,
we didn't sit as the whole go and hire. And you see, people hire these nice fancy chairs and they sit in it and they're sitting in state. It cost, I think, 500 cedis a pop. You know, that's just for that chair. We didn't do that. We stood. The opening prayer was said while we were standing. In fact, at the time the opening prayer was said, I think I was talking to some people, and my wife was also somewhere talking to some people. We were moving around. It was a cocktail. We thanked them for coming, and it was very personal.
And this was because you were prioritizing the journey after.
Yeah, because we kind of thought that, you know what, we appreciate that we have these people in our lives, but really, this thing is about the two of us.
So it looks to me anymore like the idea when you meet the young lady or the young man in your case should be, okay, so I want to spend the rest of my life with this person, so let me do this small thing to signify the decision I've made and then get on with the being married.
I think that it depends, because you may meet somebody who has a massive family, massive family, who can afford it and wants the whole family there. So you have 400 people, and for your partner, these 400 people are my tribe. And so you can't judge based on purely that. I think the problem is when you're going outside what you can afford and what is your normal, and it becomes an issue of perception. So my friend and I own an events company, and we've done a lot of weddings. Some of the most lavish weddings that we've done, you find that the bride or the groom are so engrossed in how the wedding is going that they're not actually enjoying the fact that this is our wedding.
Yeah, because for them it was
there's
about
so much, it's about what people say, we for sure. And then I've gone to these really intimate weddings where it's close friends and the couple are having a ball, and there's so much dancing and there's so much laughter and there's so much love. So I think that it's really about prioritizing, you know, what is important to me, what can I afford? And then, I mean, in terms of the photo shoots and stuff, we love memories. There's nothing more exciting than when you've done 8 years, 10 years, and you're looking back, you know, Charlie, this is how we started.
It's not exciting. I didn't look good. It's not I mean,
I look slimmer, so whatever. But I mean, I would, you know, go back and, you know, this is how we started in a little van somewhere in some cold village somewhere, doing delivery somewhere and hustling, and this was the beginning. And so we have those memories, you know, and so memories are important, but always for me, it's memories within what you can live with and what is sustainable.
But let me throw in this one. Does it not extend beyond wedding culture? I know we are talking about weddings, but I mean, we could talk about how people buy cars they can't afford on loan because they are more focused on how they look, and then they will not invest in themselves on something more stable.
Joe boy, let me tell you something.
Hey, Joe boy,
talk
to me, Charlie.
See, I own me. I am not going to drive a car I can't afford. If I could afford a Mercedes-Benz, I will buy it. I dream of buying one day when I can afford it.
I dream of buying one day.
But I'm not going to be pressured into looking the part when I don't have it. I mean, we are becoming... See, we're negatively evolving as a people. We're placing priority on things that we shouldn't. Putting yourself through stress that you don't need. I remember a wedding I attended, and it was a nice, intimate wedding. Now, here's the funny thing. But we all went away for a weekend. The wedding happened on a Saturday. We stayed through... No, it was a Friday. Then Saturday, there was party and things. We hung out. It was a 3-day event. But it was intimate. The people involved could afford it. They could have afforded to throw a wedding and invited 1,000 guests. But it was intimate. There were probably about 40, 50 people at the wedding. But we all went away. The important...
And they were not in debt after the wedding.
No. The thing I learned from that is that, you know, when you're starting a journey, the farewell messages you get go a long way to keep you going. Now, if you're going to throw a wedding and invite the entire universe just because you wanted to show off, and you have people who don't know you, who are just coming to sit there and yap, you lose the spirit that should be carrying you forward. And it's very important. You know, and so if you have not discovered yourself and you're not sure who you are and what your real identity is, and so you're going through magazines or going through Instagram and you're seeing how people are doing it, so you want to do it that way too, then you got a problem.
I know a married woman who told her lady reverend, no, lady reverend. Now I'm married, but my eyes have opened, so I want to do it again.
If their eyes have
So that I
opened
can
and they
show
have
people.
more money and they can afford it,
You can
they can renew their vows and do it.
Renew your
Guys,
vows.
we need to wrap up. And so, I mean, this has been a short discussion, but really, I think that we've gotten the essentials in there. So I'll give Anima a final word, then I'll come back to you, sure.
Just do what you can afford, really. I think for me, that's it.
Masa, it's about the two of you, okay? If you're mad, you happen to have fallen in love with a princess as a commoner, and they want to do the wedding for you, accept it on your terms. If they want to throw a lavish wedding because you're marrying a princess, accept it on your terms, and your terms being that your identity cannot be taken away. They are the
And you
ones
cannot
who
be bought.
you can't be bought.
You cannot
That
be
has to
bought,
be very,
so
very
that's
important.
as well.
So own yourself, and when you have done owning yourself, marry the woman the way both of you think is wise and can live with, and live happily ever after, managing your small economy.
A smart man I know once told me, look, Daniel, love can be an emotional thing that makes you do a lot of stupid things. But you don't want to live with the consequences of these stupid things, especially when you have someone's child in tow. Feelings don't determine your future. It's 11 minutes to the top of the hour here on the Super Morning Show. Enjoy 99.7 FM. It's time for me to speak with a very good friend of mine, Sadiq Abdullahi Abu. He's country manager of Boomplay Music and the CEO of the 3 Music Awards.